Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the series finale of Orphan Black. A fantastic series finale. Things didn't go exactly the way I thought they would, but still overall just fantastic. Obviously, just worked my way throughout the episode. Obviously, things kind of playing out the way they did at the beginning. I was actually kind of surprised at how much of the episode was like post everything. It's like, oh yeah, the whole Neolution thing with John and Cody was dealt with, and then like the rest of the episode is like the aftermath where everyone is. But I appreciate how things turned out with Cody. The fact of the matter is that I just like that whole situation of like Art being there, and she's like, okay, check and see if she's dilated, and he's like, wait, what? Jeez, yeah, she's far enough along, and just kind of like the weird awkwardness about it. But especially how that ended with just like bringing Cody over and just boom, Helena dealing the final blow. I was like there's no question that she's ain't no coming back from that now. She's done. And also Sarah dealing with John. And I guess it makes perfect sense because, you know, as he kind of claims, she is the mutation. Because he's constantly bringing up the fact of the matter is like, oh, you were kind of the messed up batch because the fact of the matter is you were different from the others. And it's like that difference is what brought Sarah, you know, fate, you know, destiny, whatever you want to say, like brought her here. Like the kind of... You know how, because, you know, Sarah is like, you know, different. She was the first one to be discovered that's different from every other leader. And I think, you know, that's what made her kind of act as kind of the glue to kind of hold everything together. And then even telling, like, getting a good shot on John, and he's just like lucky shot, but he's basically running his mouth off the entire time. I'm like, hey, you'll never forget me. Like, even in my greatest mistake, that being you, I had my greatest success. I will live on through your daughter. And then Sarah's like, shut your mouth, and bashed his head in with a tank. So it's like, no more you. Which again, once again, it's like that in a sense. I guess it's full circle, and the fact is that, you know, Sarah kind of led things to being where they are now, so it's only right that she be the one to kind of end things. So I mean, luckily, I mean, like, that's really all there is to that. Like, I mean, they settled that pretty quickly. It's done. Boom. Helena gave birth to 2 boys. It caught me by surprise because I was so sure. I was like, it's going to be a boy and a girl just to represent the leaders and the casters in a sense, in some shape or form they live on. But it's like, nope, she had 2 boys, orange and purple, which Allison was like, when is she just going to give them the proper names? I was like, I kind of like it. But she does eventually give them names at the end of the episode, Arthur and Donnie. I was like, that's adorable. It's actually kind of interesting. It's something I was thinking about when because of the whole like baby shower like party or whatever. I was kind of thinking about the fact is that it's very reminiscent. I think it was season 3's finale, like when Helena was kind of out of it. She had that moment where she sees like everyone, like her sisters around her, sisters around her. I think it was like definitely Felix was there too. It's just like that moment was almost reflected in this episode. I wonder, did they do that purposely to design it like that? Except it's not just them, it's everybody, you know. It's Adele, it's Colin, he's part of Clone Club now. Just everyone together, all the family together, no more like hiding in the dark. It's like, yep, this is, you know, because I think this is actually like Allison's kids first, like this is our first time seeing them interact with like the other sisters, you know. So you see her like Allison's little girl beside Helena, so it's like it's all out in the open. It's like we don't gotta hide, we're here celebrating this beautiful family of ours. And I don't know, I thought that, like, I feel like they intentionally designed it like that. But God, there's so much to talk about. Like, for one, you see Sarah dealing with this a lot in the sense of like she has to go on without S. Like, throughout the episode, we see it cut back and forth, especially during Helena's birthing, of like cutting back and forth between her and S, because S was there helping Sarah give birth to Kira, and now you have Sarah and Arthur being there for Helena. And it's also like we ended up finding out, like, you know, Sarah didn't know whether or not she was going to keep the baby at the time, and it's S being like, what do you want to do? I mean, there's a lot more to being a mom, the responsibilities and stuff like that. And you know, there's even a point where Sarah's like, I don't need you or any help from you. I don't need anything from you. And I'm sure, and it's something Sarah brought up in the episode of like carrying her mistakes, and I'm sure that's something she regrets, because it's like, you know, as I've said before, like S did so much for everyone, including her. So, and it's like, it's that whole, you know, it's like, because she's even selling S's place at a point during the episode. Even feels like, are we going to like discuss this? I thought we were going to wait. And it's just like Sarah just wanted to do it immediately because she needed to get away. Because like the house, it just reminded her of S. It just one of the people that she loves most is gone now. And I think it's one of those situations where it's like you're kind of like that rebellious kid, and it's like you weren't always the best kid, and it's just one of those moments I'm sure like Sarah regrets like not telling S how important she was and reminding her like every day, thank you for all you've done. But I think something like that. And she ended up kind of snapping at Allison because Allison's like, no, we fought so much for this family. It's everything because you're gonna go away with Kira, right? Like, no, we should all stay together, like in a relative same area. But she's like, like I said, the whole S thing has still got to her. She's trying to get her life together, like in a sense of like she's trying to get her GED, trying to be like, trying to figure out she's like, trying to figure out this whole hypotenuse thing, the Pythagorean theorem, is what I meant to say. Getting Scott and Cosima to help her, and it's just. It's because you get like she is trying to do the right thing, be responsible, but she doesn't know what she's doing. Like, because anytime she's always had S's help, and now she kind of has to do it on her own. I mean, granted, she doesn't have to do it on her own. It's something like, sitting down with Helena, Cosima, and Allison, she's able to really talk about the fact of the matter is carrying those mistakes and feeling like a shit mom. But each one of them brings up, Allison's like, I snap at my kids about like hanging, like, stringing them up and stuff like that, and just like it's like, yeah, but at the end of the day, no matter the issues, I love my kids. I can, I mean, hell, I was a drug dealer, so. And Cosima's like, yeah, you saw how I was carrying one of Helena's kids earlier. It's almost like, whoa, baby, whoa. Like, she's like, am I selfish? Am I not that maternal instinct? Helena's like, yeah, my kids were eating sand. Where you getting sand from? I don't know. Keep going at it. It's like no one's a perfect mother, but Sarah has tried her best. And I think it's a sense of like Sarah feeling like, hey, like I don't know, what to do, like to be a mom outside of the fight. I'm trying to protect my family. I'm trying to protect all this now that the fight is over, which in the illusion is done. I mean, it was pretty much done last episode. John and Cody were like the last holdouts, simply because like it's, dyads being torn apart. From the fact is of this whole Neolution situation and experimentation. Like most of the top people in Neolution were kind of taken care of last episode anyway. Mainly that was on John's part of getting them removed from the equation, but still. And also we got a little kind of full circle of Helena's memoir she was writing. It's called Orphan Black. And I love Allison being, because they're like, oh yeah, we're kind of all, orphans. And then Allison says, but we're not black. And they're just like laughing about it. It's just so cool. And it's just basically their story. And I just thought, kind of taking everything full circle. Even to this moment, like you had like Sarah sitting there, you had Cosima and Allison walking up. It's like almost like the beginning again when they first met. And but now it kind of shows you that there's more, everyone is in on it. It's just like their family is way beyond than what it started. That they have a family and a life of their own. And it does seem like by the end of the episode that Sarah is sticking around, stays in S's place. Like this is her family. This is Kira's family. And I'm sure she's not going to be moving away anytime soon. At least not for now. At least her and Felix and Kira are just hanging out together. So it's like this is her family and she's going to keep it up. I guess I could say, I don't know. I can't help it. It's just like, that's that part of me, that feeling with any series finale where you're just like, you're sad because you're like, but you're so happy because it's such a beautiful thing. And I think they did a fantastic job doing that. It's like, the Neolution stuff, it's like a part of the episode, but a big part of it is the aftermath link. You see where everyone is finding out, that, showing what the show is about, and that's family, that the fact of the matter is, and it's something that Sarah had said to, Westmoreland, that they are beyond what he made them. It's like, we were just experiments, but we're beyond that now. I got this far. I am here now because of my sisters. And it's like, that's reflected in this, that beyond, like they are evolution because they went beyond just being some experiment lab rats. They have their own people with their own lives, with their giant family, with everyone involved. So, I did kind of feel bad for Rachel. I won't lie to you. Rachel's kind of on her own, and Felix is like, because she's asking about the babies, but Felix is like, you can't see them. She's like, no. I'm okay with not. I've had enough with Litas for the rest of my life. And so Felix is like, I enjoy the rest of your life. And the thing is, like, because Rachel has no one. Like, there's no, like, because I talked about it as like, maybe her and Sarah could, like, deal with their problems, and maybe she could be part of things. But it's like, no, after everything she's done that's not going to be easy. I mean, to be fair, who's to know? Who's to know? Who's to say things don't eventually change down the road? Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But it's sad because like Rachel has no one. They have each other. Rachel's just kind of out in the cold. She doesn't even have her name. She doesn't have Neolution. She's just on her own. She doesn't have Ferdinand. So it is kind of a situation that she is on her own, so she doesn't even live that top tier life that she used to. In some shape or form, I'd like to think maybe at some point in time, Rachel can be brought back in the fold. I mean, granted, everyone's got their individual lives anyway, but you see almost in Rachel's eyes, like see like that, almost like teariness, like she is alone. You know, she always felt like she was special, and now it came down to it that she's not. You know. I don't know. I legitimately feel bad for Rachel. I know it's crazy considering everything she's done, but you know, still. But she did give Felix something he's been working on, and he gives it to Cosima because it's something Cosima had been worried about. Is like, what about getting to the other leaders and stuff? We don't know how big this is, how many there are. Felix was able to get the list from Rachel. It's a list of all the clones, all 274 of them, all spread across the world. And as I guessed, it was Cosima and Delphine kind of going like on a trip together to fix, you know, their adventure around the world, helping cure all the other leaders with each other by each other's side, you know. And so it's just, I'm glad. Like, not everything was like clear cut. Like, we still never really found out exactly what happened to everyone on the island. Like, what happened to Mud and them. I mean, it's something I brought up last episode. It's like, oh, maybe Mud ends up staying with Cosima or something. So I brought it last episode, but I completely forgot. Yeah, Mud has her own family. Granted, she ran away, but maybe, I like to think, maybe everyone went back to their ordinary lives. Also, I was completely wrong about the whole, Lita's being expelled. It's like, no, we're going to cure them. It's like, we don't want to bring them in into all this. Like, let them enjoy their lives. Because even they met, they were curing one, and Cosima was kind of nearby, but she kind of turned away so that the other Lita didn't see her. So it's like, we're not trying to change your lives. You know, it's like, this is kind of a shock. It's like, no, we're just going to go, you know, let everyone have their lives. They don't need to be worried about. I mean, there's always a possibility that they'll bump into each other in the future. Whoa, you look like, wait, what's going on here? But, you know, that in itself is probably another story entirely. So legitimately, it took a lot to get here, but it is happy endings all around. Everything ended very positively. Not for everyone. I mean, obviously the douchebags kind of like got their just dessert. So I am curious about what Art has to do with this whole situation. And the fact of the matter is, like, you know, having to explain everything, because he, you know, obviously, was it last episode or the episode before last, he was talking. No, it was last episode, I think. Like the whole, like, you know, pointing out that, like, oh, Maddie's connected to his Neolution thing. He was telling that to his lieutenant and everything. So it's like, I'm sure there's a lot of questions there. No, that was episode 8. That was episode 8, not last week's episode. So I'm very curious to see how, like, that all, like how you go about explaining that, and I'm sure questions will arise and everything. So, but for now, that, like, was it kind of another thing in itself. Like, for now, like, everything's complete, the story's complete. So everyone's kind of separated. It seems like at the end, everyone's kind of doing their own thing. But I think at the end, you know, the fact of the matter is they are tied together. Once again, family, so they'll always be connected. So, no, they always have this family to come back to when they're finished doing their respective things and stuff like that. So I would love to see more of Helena raising kids, and just like who her kids would end up being during all of this, after everything, you know. I guess to a certain extent we did get a peek into what a normal life is for them now. So makes you wonder also what's Sarah gonna do. But once again, it's like, you know, whatever she does, she has everyone's support and everyone backing her up. Also, like, when Arthur showed up at the party, he had Charlotte. So I'm wondering, like, did he take Charlotte in? Or did he pick her up from somewhere? Like, I'm curious about that, because I would assume, like, I would assume out of anyone, she'd be with Cosima, but Cosima, I guess, like, you know, it's like, what do I know about taking care of, like, I would assume Charlotte's almost like a teenager, a preteen, but it seemed like it was a situation like, I don't know, it's just, it's a beautiful thing seeing how big Clone Club is and see where it is. I'm sad to see it end, but at the same time, a great finale and a great send-off to the show. I even appreciate that little, as they say, like, saving the dance after saving the last dance after the credits. So I really like that too. So, I mean, really, I know this is kind of like on a shorter end compared to most things, but I think I've said what I needed to say. I've said this before, and I'll kind of say it again to kind of reiterate it. I am so grateful for the show. I love the show, and I wish everyone associated, cast, writers, creators, crew, I wish them the best in their future endeavors. If you are curious, I did do something a little special, kind of, two things went up yesterday. So basically, to commemorate, Orphan Black coming to an end, I did a kind of thing where I basically did some recordings where I talked about my favorite like moments and things and just Orphan Black in general. I did two versions. There's a Super-Fanta-Fi, like an audio podcast, much like this. There's a longer version, that I'll link to, but there's also a video version, but the video version is a lot more condensed. So obviously I will be including links to both of them. They'll most likely be at the end card as well, but in case you don't want to wait that long, they're also in the description down below. Just kind of saying a little bit of what I'm saying right now with a little bit more, but just like, if you decide you want to check them out, they're there for you. So, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, I kind of don't want to stop because because stopping this means kind of it being the end. But at the same time, it's like, no, there's still so much like, if you feel the need to, you can hit me up. We can talk about Orphan Black in any shape or form, whether it's like some thoughts about like where you think things could be like after Orphan Black, like, like some of the stuff like I brought up, or, just everything that's happened over the course of the series, just talk about it in general. So once again, goodbye, Orphan Black. Thank you for being the amazing show that you are. So, but really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.